Let me ask you a quick question. How many of you have bought something, a phone charger, a roll of tape, a measuring tape, screwdriver, or other tools because you couldn't find the one you already own? Yeah, almost everyone. How many of you have gone to the grocery store, bought something, come home, and discovered you already had that exact thing in your fridge or pantry, just buried behind other stuff? How many of you are currently paying for a gym membership? You have not physically been inside since the last time you updated your New Year resolution. How many of you have a storage unit? And here is the most important follow-up question for the storage unit people. Do you remember what's in it? Because here's the thing nobody tells you, your stuff has a cost. Not just the price tag when you bought it. An ongoing monthly invisible cost that drains your money, your time, your mental energy, and, according to actual research, your happiness. We buy things to improve our lives. But past a certain point, our stuff starts running our lives instead. And today we're going to talk about exactly how much it costs, why we keep doing it anyway, and what you can actually do to stop the bleeding. Let's get into it. Let's start with some statistics, because I want you to understand that this is not a you problem. This is an everyone problem. An American culture problem. A system designed to make you buy more problem. Stat number 1. The average American home contains roughly 300,000 items. 300,000. From paper clips to couches, from expired coupons in the junk drawer to that one weird kitchen gadget that's supposed to spiral cut zucchini, but mostly just sits in the cabinet making you feel guilty. 300,000 items. Stat number 2, we use about 20% of what we own 80% of the time. The 80-20 rule applies to your closet, your kitchen, your garage, and probably your entire life. You wear the same rotation of outfits. You use the same 3 pans. You watch the same streaming service. The rest is just inventory. Inventory you are housing, insuring, cleaning around, and occasionally tripping over at 2 a.m. Stat number 3. The average American spends $1,497 per year on impulse purchases. That's nearly $125 a month on things you didn't plan to buy and probably didn't need. Over 10 years, at even modest investment returns, that's over $25,000 in potential wealth, spent on things you mostly can't remember buying. Stat number 4. Americans spend $38 billion per year on self-storage. $38 billion. The United States has more than 50,000 self-storage facilities, which is more than the number of McDonald's, Subway, and Starbucks locations combined. We literally have more places to store our excess stuff than places to eat fast food. And that should tell you everything. The self-storage industry grew by over 50% in the last decade, and the fastest growing customer segment is people who have a house, but have too much stuff to fit in it. We are not running out of space. We are running out of space for our stuff. Those are very different problems with very different solutions. Stat number 5. Americans throw away about $160 billion worth of food per year. Most of that food was bought, brought home, pushed to the back of the fridge behind other food that also got pushed to the back, and then discovered 2 weeks later in a state that can only be described as scientifically interesting. The average American household throws away roughly $1,500 in food every year. That's a car payment. That's a vacation. That's $1,500 that went from your wallet to a grocery bag to a landfill, with a brief stop in your fridge to haunt you. Add it all together. Impulse purchases, storage fees, wasted food, duplicates of things you already own, items you bought once and never used, and the average American household is hemorrhaging somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000 per year on the financial consequences of too much stuff. That's the cost of clutter. And we haven't even gotten to the invisible costs yet. Here's what makes the cost of clutter really insidious. Most of it doesn't show up on a receipt. It's not a line item in your budget. It's a slow, quiet drain on your money and your life that's easy to ignore because there's no single moment where you feel it all at once. Let's go through the hidden costs one by one. Hidden cost number 1, your time. Time is money. Not in a motivational poster way, in a literal mathematical way. If you earn $25 an hour at your job, then every hour you spend looking for lost keys, untangling cords, reorganizing a junk drawer, or searching for something you know you own but cannot locate. That's $25 worth of your time. A study by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics found that the average American spends roughly 55 minutes a day searching for misplaced items. Nearly an hour a day. 55 minutes a day is 334 hours a year. At $25 an hour, that's $8,350 of your time per year spent looking for your stuff. That is a vacation. A really good vacation. With a flight and everything. Spent looking for the TV remote in a couch cushion. Hidden cost number 2, mental bandwidth. This one is backed by research from Princeton University's Neuroscience Institute, which found that physical clutter in your environment competes for your brain's attention, even when you're not consciously looking at it. In plain English, when your space is cluttered, your brain is working harder just to exist in it. It's like trying to work with 47 browser tabs open. You might technically be functioning, but you're slower, more distracted, and more drained than you would be otherwise. This mental drain has real economic consequences. Productivity researchers estimate that distraction and cognitive overload cost the average knowledge worker the equivalent of several hours of productive work per week. Clutter is not just a visual problem. It is a performance problem. Hidden cost number 3, duplicate purchases. When you can't find something you own, you buy another one. This is one of the most quietly expensive habits in America. A survey by the National Association of Professional Organizers found that 23% of Americans pay bills late, not because they don't have the money, but because they lost the bill in a pile of stuff. Late fees, penalty interest, hits to your credit score, all because of paper clutter. People buy backup scissors, backup chargers, backup umbrellas, 3 pairs of the same reading glasses because they are always misplacing them. Duplicates of spices they already have because they can't see the back of the cabinet. These individual purchases feel small in the moment, $4 here, $12 there. But they compound into hundreds of dollars a year in items you already owned. Hidden cost number 4, the stuff you paid for but never use. This is where we have to have an honest conversation about opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is an economics concept that basically means the cost of choosing one thing is giving up everything else you could have done with that money. If you spend $200 on a bread maker that sits in your cabinet unused for 3 years, the cost wasn't just $200. It was the $200, plus what that $200 could have become if invested. At 8% annual returns over 10 years, that $200 would be worth about $432. So the bread maker you never used didn't cost $200. It cost $432 and climbing. Now apply that logic to every piece of exercise equipment you own that currently functions as a clothing rack. Every gadget, every subscription box, every course you bought and never finished, every tool you used once. The money is gone. But worse, its future value is gone too. Hidden cost number 5, the space itself. Space costs money. Whether you rent or own, you are paying per square foot for every inch of your home. The average cost of a square foot to rent in the U.S. is roughly $1.50 to $2.50 per month, depending on where you live. If you have a 100 square foot room that is essentially a storage room for your overflow stuff, you are paying $150 to $250 a month to house items you don't use. That's $1,800 to $3,000 a year for a room that serves as an oversized box. And if you have an external storage unit, the average self-storage unit costs $180 to $300 per month. The average person keeps their storage unit for over 14 months. That's a minimum of $2,500 to $4,200 per average storage unit rental for things they cannot remember owning. So we've established that clutter is expensive. Really expensive. So why do we keep accumulating stuff we don't need? This is important because if we just say stop buying things without understanding why we buy things, nothing changes. Understanding the psychology is what actually creates behavior change. Reason number 1, retail therapy is real and it's been engineered. Shopping releases dopamine. That's not a metaphor, it's neurochemistry. The anticipation of acquiring something new triggers the same brain reward system as food, social connection, and other things your brain categorizes as good. Marketers have known this for decades and have built entire industries around triggering that response. Flash sales that expire in 11 minutes. Only 2 left in stock. Personalized ads that seem to read your mind because functionally they do. One-click purchasing that removes every possible friction point between impulse and transaction. The average American sees between 4,000 and 10,000 advertisements per day. Every single one is an attempt to create a want you didn't have before you saw it. And they work. Not always, but often enough to generate trillions in consumer spending. Reason number 2, we buy things for the identity we want, not the life we have. The bread maker isn't really a bread maker. It's a symbol of the version of you who wakes up on Sunday mornings and bakes bread from scratch. The running shoes aren't shoes, they're the version of you who runs. The guitar in the corner isn't gathering dust, it's the version of you who learns guitar. We buy aspirational items constantly, things that represent who we want to be, and then those items sit in our space silently judging us for not becoming that person yet. The object was never the problem. The gap between who we are and who we imagine we're becoming, that's what the purchase was really about. Reason number 3, loss aversion makes us hold on to things we should let go. This is a concept from behavioral economics, and it's one of the most well-documented quirks of the human brain. Psychologists have found that the pain of losing something is roughly twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining it. This is why we keep things we don't use. Getting rid of them feels like a loss, even if they're just taking up space and costing us money. But I might need it someday drawer. The clothes we haven't worn in 4 years that we're keeping because they might come back into style. The broken appliance we're going to get fixed eventually. Your brain has coded those things as losses waiting to happen. So you hold on. And the pile grows. Reason number 4, decision fatigue. Decluttering requires making a decision about every single item. Keep, donate, throw away. And making decisions is mentally exhausting. Research shows that the quality of our decisions deteriorates significantly the more decisions we make in a row. This is why decluttering projects often start strong and then stall halfway through. You run out of decision-making energy and the stuff wins. It's not laziness. It's neuroscience. Here's the fun part. Because clutter doesn't just cost money going in, clearing it out actually generates money coming back. Flip number 1, sell what you don't need. The average American household has about $3,000 worth of unused items that could be sold. That's the average. Some households have significantly more. Apps like Facebook Marketplace, eBay, Poshmark for clothes, Declutter for electronics, and OfferUp make this easier than it's ever been. People are regularly paying real money for things sitting unused in your closet: vintage clothes, old electronics, books, furniture, children's toys, sports equipment. One study found that the average person who did a serious declutter of their home made between $400 and $2,000 from selling items they no longer wanted. That's not nothing. That's a car repair, a month's groceries, a solid emergency fund to start. Flip number 2, stop paying for storage. If you're paying for a storage unit, there is a very high probability that the cost of the unit over 1 or 2 years will exceed the actual current value of what's inside it. Go through the unit. Sell or donate what you can. Return the unit. That $200 a month becomes $200 a month back in your pocket, or $2,400 a year back in your budget. Flip number 3, cut subscriptions and memberships you forgot about. This is the digital version of clutter. The average American pays for 4 to 5 streaming services and actively watches content on about 2 of them. Subscriptions to apps, magazines, premium services, delivery boxes. The average household has $219 per month in recurring subscriptions, and a significant portion of those are for services they forgot they signed up for. Audit your bank and credit card statements right now. Look for subscriptions. Every recurring charge you didn't consciously choose to keep this month is a small leak. Small leaks across dozens of categories become a flood. Flip number 4, adopt a one-in, one-out rule going forward. This is the simplest financial system for managing clutter. Every time something new comes in, something else goes out. Buy a new shirt. Donate once. Get a new kitchen gadget. Get rid of one you don't use. It keeps the volume constant without requiring constant purging sessions. It also slows down impulse buying naturally because the moment you think, I want that, you immediately have to think, what am I willing to give up? That one friction point alone prevents a lot of unnecessary purchases. Flip number 5, calculate what your space actually costs per square foot, then use it intentionally. Once you know that your home costs you, say, $2 per square foot per month, every square foot dedicated to unused stuff is a real dollar figure. It makes the decision to clear that space feel less abstract and more like the financial decision it actually is. Alright, let's close with an actionable plan. Not get inspired to declutter someday. The actual steps in order. Step 1, the 90-day rule. Go through your closet, your kitchen cabinets, your garage. For each item, ask one question: have I used this in the last 90 days? If the answer is no, and there's no specific upcoming reason you'll use it in the next 90, it's a candidate for removal. Not a mandate. A candidate. Start with the obvious ones. Step 2, audit your subscriptions this week. Pull up your bank statement or credit card statement. Highlight every recurring charge. For each one, ask, do I actively use and value this? If you hesitated before answering yes, cancel it. You can always resubscribe. The default should be off, not on. Step 3, start a sell box and a donate box today. Physical boxes. Sitting somewhere visible. Over the next 30 days, anytime you encounter something you don't use, it goes in one of the 2 boxes. At the end of the month, list the sell box items online and drop the donate box somewhere. No major weekend project required. Just an ongoing habit. Step 4, set a 24-hour rule for non-essential purchases over $30. If you want to buy something that isn't food, a necessity, or a pre-planned purchase, wait 24 hours. Put it in a cart, screenshot it, write it down. Then come back tomorrow. Research consistently shows that the desire for impulse purchases drops dramatically after 24 hours, especially if you've slept on it. You'll be amazed how many things you put back. Step 5, calculate your clutter cost. Actually do the maths. How much are you spending on storage? How much food goes to waste each month? What subscriptions are you not using? What's in your closet that hasn't moved in 2 years and could be sold? Put a number on it. Even a rough number. Because right now it's invisible, and invisible expenses are the most dangerous kind. Here's the thing I really want you to walk away with today. This was never really about minimalism. It's not about living with 47 possessions and meditating on a bamboo mat. It's about the simple financial truth that everything you own has a cost beyond its price tag. In money, in time, in mental energy, and in the future wealth you don't build because the money went somewhere else. $3,000 to $5,000 a year. That's the average American's clutter tax. A tax you never agreed to pay. A tax with no receipt. A tax collected in dribs and drabs, through storage fees and duplicate purchases and wasted food and subscriptions you forgot about, and time spent looking for things that should have been easy to find. What could you do with an extra $3,000 to $5,000 a year? Build an emergency fund in less than 2 years. Pay down debt faster. Start an investment account. Take a real vacation. Feel less stressed every single morning when you walk into your kitchen. Your stuff should work for you. The moment it starts working against you, eating your money, stealing your time, cluttering your thinking, it's not stuff anymore. It's a liability wearing a disguise. And the good news: you can start clearing it out this week. Not all of it. Not perfectly. Just a box. Just one subscription. Just one 24-hour pause before the next impulse buy. Start there. Your future budget will thank you. Hope you gain some insights. Hit like and subscribe. See you in the next video.